giveaways. If everyone didn't sign in with Lindsay or Gina, please make sure you see them. Your number's actually going in for a raffle. At the end, we have a lot of giveaways that we're doing there. With everything we're doing tonight, we just want to show some appreciation to some of our guests. I know when you buy a new vehicle, there's so many options on the vehicle, so many things that you need to learn and go over. That's why we wanted to invite everyone in tonight so we can help spend some time with you and go over those things with you. I hope everyone doesn't mind. We are going to take some pictures, even some video, and if hopefully nobody minds because we might place it on our website also. Hopefully it's not a problem with anybody. Here at Phillips Chevrolet, we've been here since 1968. I've been working for Phillips Chevrolet since, for the last 8 years. I've been working with Chevrolet for 18 years. We have a few guests with us from this evening. We have an infotainment specialist from General Motors, Dave. We also have a Sirius XM specialist. It's here as well. So any questions you may have, we have a specialist here to help out on that. Our world-class certified technician, Mark Rosecci, he's over here. He's here to try and help out with any questions you might have technically on your vehicle, which we have a vehicle over here with some options. And then we also wanted to show some other features, options on the vehicles that we can go through. For example, the Malibu over here that's sitting on the other side with a flat tire. We want to show everyone some of the vehicles that are not equipped with a spare tire are equipped with an inflator kit. We just want to show everyone how that works. God forbid anyone has to use it, at least you're familiar with it. Some of the things on your car I just wanted to go over with everyone, just to clarify a little bit. A lot of the new cars, all the new cars now are equipped with oil life monitoring systems. The way this oil monitoring system is, it actually takes in different factors of driving conditions, engine revolutions, air temperature, outside temperatures, engine temperatures, and it all calculates through the computer. All these go together, it spits out and tells the computer when you're going to be due for oil change. So back to the 3,000 mile old school intervals, it's actually gone. Some people you can't see that might take it up to 5, 6, or even 8,000 miles in between an oil change report and a monitor. Other people might still show 3,000 miles depending on driver habits. It does vary based on the driver of the vehicle. These are some of the things that come into question is when I'm actually due for an oil change. With that particular situation, depending on where you drive, how far you drive, usually the longer trip vehicles, they can go a lot longer in between mileage intervals on oil changes. Short city trips, you go a lot less further because of the way the engine is starting and stopping. The computer recognizes all this. With the new semi-synthetic oil that's required in all the newer vehicles, you can go longer and it doesn't break down as fast as the old conventional oils. That's why they can get away with these different monitoring systems. Some of the bigger things that we look for, especially with fuel prices now, I know we have a Bolt owner here that really is looking out for the fuel prices for us, but with all the, to maximize your fuel economy, some of the important things are tire pressure, how critical it is to keep tires at proper temp, at proper air pressures, especially in the heat. They go lower in the summertime. We can talk about that a little bit later on the segment over by the Malibu that's back here. We'll explain some of those things. Your engine air filter, how important these little things are, just like you have a filter in your house that filters all the air, the same in your car that the engine breathes, how important that is to keep that clean to maximize fuel economy. And Mark can help explain some of those things over there. Some of the different systems with the infotainment for the radio, there's involved so much technology in the cars now. It's great, some of it might distract you from driving, so I do want to make it crystal clear, make sure how important everyone does realize that we always suggest designating someone to press the buttons on the radio, but as far as getting involved in that, we just want to make sure that everyone does understand how to use all these functions on the radio and take advantage of them so it is safer for you to drive. And Dave, our specialist here, he can explain all that with you too and go over each function, just so you can maximize and understand all the different features that are on the vehicles. A couple other features that are on your vehicles, I'm not sure if a lot of you are aware. All the cars now that are built, they're equipped with what you know on an airplane is that black box. The cars actually are equipped with a vehicle event data recorders, what it would be called. Under normal circumstance, there's no reason for anyone to ever have to access those, but in the event of a major collision where airbags do deploy, these do store the information. It can be for your safety, for law enforcement, where they ever may have to, with your permission, go into those data recorders to get information that, in the event of an accident, this information stores up to 30 seconds prior to the event where an airbag might deploy. This data recorder will let you know if your seatbelt wasn't buckled, if you're on the accelerator when the collision occurred, or if you're on the brake. It stores all the information for resources in the event if that ever happened. God forbid you ever had to go down, but I just wanted to make everyone aware that it is actually on the vehicle. Again, with something like that, there's no reason to ever access something that in case something drastic did happen. We need it for your benefit is what it comes down to. There's so many things to go through on the vehicle. We could spend hours and hours going through, so we want to kind of make this general and generic, and then you can come up and see us with individual questions that you have, so we can spend some time. A couple other things I just wanted to go over real quick before we can break off and have some more food and go with Dave or Mark or John. That's actually going to be with the air pressure. A lot of people like to add on different accessories on vehicles. GM designs their accessories specifically for their vehicles, so it doesn't affect anything warranty-wise. There's so many different sensors with airbag systems and safety equipment and proper operation that actually can affect if you start modifying your vehicle with something that's not GM approved. For example, a lot of people like to put seat covers on their cars to keep the seats from getting dirty, or they need that little extra cushion, the pillow underneath, to help support the seat. There's sensors, for example, in all the cars now with the passenger side airbag that can sense, and that actually can distort the proper readings of these sensors if we start modifying. So you want to be real careful on things like that. Always welcome to call us and contact us anytime there's a question on what might be safe or not safe to do. There's simple things such as a simple accessory that somebody wanted to tie into their cigarette lighter circuit to keep a fuzz buster or a camera on that's not designed in the vehicle. Next thing you know, what happened was the customer's car would shut off. It kept running when you turned the key because it actually interrupted. Everything goes through computers on the vehicle. So any modification, as simple as it seems, when it's not factory approved, you really want to be careful on doing anything like that. One other interesting thing I want to share with everyone too, with everyone's new vehicle, you might notice that your windows always seem to get dirty real quick. You always seem to get that film on the inside of any of the glass, and it seems odd how they can get so dirty so quick. There are actually various properties in the interior from production that I don't know the chemical terms or anything like that as to why it happens, but it actually creates a film on the inside of the windows that does clean off, but for usually about the first 3 months of ownership, it usually seems like you have to clean your windows more often. A little hint to that is usually just clean water on a terry cloth rag to wipe down the windows, and then use a glass cleaner. You're welcome to bring the vehicle by us, and we're happy to do it for you. We noticed that just through various studies, some of the concerns where people notice that the windows get dirty, but that little hint helps clean them, keep them clean longer. So, one of those little things. There's so many little things that you can't go over, but I want to share that information with you too. Our parts manager, Scott, over here, he actually put together some nice giveaways for some car kits that we're going to be raffling off. They're trying to make the vehicles as simple as possible to take care of as far as cleaning, and not to use any harsh chemicals when cleaning anything on the vehicle. We have all the factory approved things to do that. With a lot of the chemicals that they sell over the counter that have these miracle results on them, they seem to stain components on the car. You want to be real careful with things like that. A lot of people like to put the cleaner that kind of makes it shiny, like on your dashboard. That gets real careful. You gotta be real careful with that, because not only can it affect the material on the dashboard, but it can also cause visibility problems just with the glare that you end up getting from putting that on there. So you want to be real careful with any chemicals that you might use even on your dashboard. That's something that you want to keep in mind too. We notice a lot of different companies like to sell them those air fresheners that you stick in the vents. They smell good, those are great. The little chemicals that come out of there seem to actually distort and stain the dashboard, and you can ruin interior components. It sounds like you experienced under, so you want to be real careful with things like that. All this stuff, all this information is actually in your owner's manual. I'd like to preach and say everyone would go home and read it, but it's pretty boring information. Nobody reads it. That's what we're here for. That's why I wanted to throw this event tonight, to try to answer the questions one-on-one with you. Yes, we really, really encourage that you read the owner's manual, but there's still not too many people who go front to back with it. Even when you do go through it, there's still information that you might miss. So, again, that's why we're here. Dave, would you like to share some information with us on some of these great features in these the infotainment?
Sure, absolutely.
Sure.
So my name is David Szczepański. I work with General Motors. Haven't even been with the company for quite a year yet. They went out and recruited a team of people from various areas, whether it's working with cell phones, working with computers. I worked with computers for 4 years. At Apple, I taught people how to use their phones, use their iPads, use their computers. And that's one of the things I'm here tonight to help you guys with. Is the phone is a very connected way to stay involved with your car and stay safe. If you got it connected with Bluetooth, you don't have to have the smartest phone in the world to get all the features out of this. But if you do have a smartphone, there are some extra features you'll get out of the radio. So I'm here to talk to you guys about that, and on a case-by-case basis, I'll be doing my session in the nice air-conditioned room over there with little plush couches and a television. So really, it'll be customized to whatever the groups that we have as you guys trickle in or trickle out. I encourage you to see the other folks as well. But what I want you to know is that all of our stuff is designed to keep you safe. And you'll see that, especially coming from model year 13 and 14, it's getting safer and safer. The case in point with the Impala, the screen actually, if you've never seen this, it lifts up, it's motorized. You press a button and the screen goes like this, it goes black, you can't use the radio. And there's a plug back there for you to plug in your phone. Now, a lot of young guys, you see it on the road, right? You're driving around, somebody's like this, or they're looking down like this, or the ones that think they're smart are driving like this, so they've got the phone up like that. Maybe some of us are guilty. I'm not going to confess right now, but really we want to keep people safe. So that screen, it's got a USB plug in it. So if I plug my phone into it and then I lower the screen, I've just trapped my phone in there. So the temptation to use my phone while I'm driving, gone. So there are a lot of things that GM and Chevrolet in particular are doing to keep people safe on the road and to keep people around everybody else safe on the road. So we'll be going over the radio in the Malibu and the Equinox. If you've got another cartoon, you've got questions, don't be afraid. I'll be sticking around afterwards. So if you have specific questions you want answered, and we'll have folks here. I'll be here to help answer those questions as well. I also work with OnStar, and OnStar, if you've had a chance to experience it at all, has been taking a nice technological leap forward. We actually have just announced that there's some cool new features that are coming with our model year 14 vehicles and newer, where we've got this little key fob. You guys know what I mean? What I say when I say key fob? It's that little thing that's attached to your key that's not really a key, but it helps you get into your car remotely. This little guy, we call this a key fob. And oftentimes you can leave this in your car and forget about it, and then walk away. It'll lock itself. So how do you get into the car? Well, OnStar's been an answer to that. Model year 14 vehicles, there's an app for your phone that you can actually remote unlock it from that. You can remote start it from that, and that's for 14 vehicles and newer. You still have that capability if you have a 13 vehicle or even a 12 vehicle, if you have an OnStar subscription. So I'll be going over some of that stuff in that room as well to wow you. But keep in mind that some of those features are available if you're an OnStar subscriber only, or if you're still within your trial period. So yeah, I'm very excited to be here, and thank you guys for your attendance. We're very excited to have you as our customers as well.
From SiriusXM.
Hi, how's everybody doing? Hopefully you're enjoying your new trials, picking your favorite channels, right? Everybody? If you have any questions related to radio, presets, or content, there's some new brochures here. We'd be glad to go over it with you if you want to take some more content. Basically, you're experiencing a 90-day trial, which is great. We're going to get the select package, and we also have the Premier package. Premier package is also going to include power steering, gas, custom plus, some of the channels that you're going to get here. Definitely take advantage of that. When you see these letters in SiriusXM, please be sure to open them up because they can offer you some really great deals. I'll say really good deals. Towards the end, it's pretty specially, so definitely open those up, open up the email so you can take a look at some promotions that we have. I have additional information on pricing, so if you want additional breakouts for yearly subscriptions, 2-year subscriptions, I can definitely go over that with you. But our base price is $14.49 for the select package and $17.99 including all the other channels I was talking about. We also have some other features available on the cars for navigation. We include nav traffic, so you can get a heads up to what kind of traffic conditions are on the road, which is pretty neat. You get all these fancy icons on there. And also travel links include weather, fuel prices, and movie listings. So definitely a lot of information at your fingertips, and I'll be glad to show you if you have any questions on anything related to your vehicle. So I'm here for the rest of the night. Just pop by and see me. I have some good stuff over there, so glad to help you out.
Thanks, Robin. Scott, our parts manager here.
Hi folks, Scott Seeger, Parts Manager. Like my partner Dan, I'm happy that you guys have all came here today. It's a nice turnout. Thank you so much for buying a Chevrolet, particularly from this dealership. It's a family dealership, and now we consider you part of our family. Like Dan, I've been here 5 years. I've been in the car business over 30 years. Since I got out of high school, this is all I've ever done. So in the parts department, in the service department, we work together as a team. As you see behind these walls, you can't see behind the walls, but there's $400,000 in inventory. At any given time, me and my partners in parts are walking through there, pulling parts on the shelf, and getting tires for your vehicles. Last month, we were the #1 selling tire dealer in the Chicago metro area. We were the #1 selling dealer 3 months running. We sold 224 tires. And tires for your vehicle, you don't have to go to a tire dealer. We're your tire dealer. We've got $14,000 in tires right now in stock. The chances are, if you need a tire for your vehicle, for your Volt, for your Malibu, for your Impala, we've got the tire that will take care of it. So again, I thank you for coming. If you have any questions, my partner Dave and Parts is more than happy to help you. We've got accessory books, we've got any number of ideas you can use if you want to spruce up your car and put stuff on your car, we can take care of it. Thank you again all for coming.
Alright guys, cool. So it sounds like we'll go over some features then, kind of general miling, what it does. So for those of you that have smartphones or played with an iPad before, even briefly, the system is designed to work a lot like that. There's big icons, and it's just designed to do, kind of be an extension of your phone when it comes to listening to music. There's something that you said that triggered an idea in my head, and I was going to comment on it, but I forgot what it was. Remind me what you said again.
Just the how to use the menu and
Oh,
I'm not
in
really
the CD.
technologically advanced like
Got
that.
it. So yeah, what that triggered, and I just want to kind of explain things. I'm really glad you guys are here. I worked when I worked at Apple, I was a trainer, and there was something I encountered that was kind of unique there. It was an idea that helped me understand why some people are good at technology and why some people aren't as good at technology. It had nothing to do with the fact that some people are good and some people are bad at anything. I found that it was really helpful just for me to understand and for other folks to understand things that you can't do, even in some of the newer systems that we've never really seen before. Now, first off, radio's changed a little bit over the course of the last few years. Have you guys noticed that? There's some interesting new features. Now, what have you noticed that's different about the media that's being brought into the vehicle? There's Pandora. Now, raise your hand if you've ever used Pandora before. Got 1, 2. Pandora is a unique thing. It's a very unique thing. It's known as an app. Now, apps are little things. They're 5 years old this week. Apps are an invention of Apple, more or less. And what they do is they add features onto your phone. So, Pandora was a radio app that this guy sat down and said, you know what, instead of having DJs, I bet a computer could make this for me. And so he was sitting around and he said, you know what, I want to listen to a song that sounds like the Beatles, but it's not the Beatles. It's just bands that sound like the Beatles. So he could type in his favorite Beatles song, Penny Lane. And then it would play songs that the computer thought sounded like Penny Lane. So that's what Pandora does for you. You can do it with an artist or you can do it with a song. It makes a playlist up for you with artists you may have never heard of before. So this is a way a lot of people discover new music. And it uses the phone's data plan. Now what you need to know about this is it's instead of pulling kind of music from the airwaves, it's pulling music specifically from the internet. So if I'm going on a cross-country trip and I have a very small data plan on my smartphone, by the end of the trip, I'll probably have $100 or maybe even more bill waiting for me at home because it's using the internet. But using it day to day and on a commute, it's not going to take a whole lot of data off of your cell phone. But it is a feature of a smartphone, and you won't be able to use it unless you have a smartphone. One of the questions that you'd asked was, when you have something like an iPhone, can you play stuff wirelessly? And there is a way that you can Bluetooth stream music to the vehicles, but the way that it's set up, and there you go, we got plenty of, yeah. The way that it's set up, Apple's designed, they want to have everybody to have the best experience they possibly can. So, Bluetooth draws a lot of battery power, a ton of battery power from your device. So I would be at Apple, people would come in and they'd be like, my phone's dead in an hour and a half, and I'm really angry. I'd say, what are you doing? And they'd say, well, I have my screen on full brightness, I'm constantly lost, so I'm always using the maps, and I'm always talking on my Bluetooth headset. Well, those three things drain the battery more than anything else. So what Apple does is they require you to plug in your iPhone or your iPod in order to get music playing on the system so that it's charged when you leave the car, so that you have it ready to go when you're leaving. So it's where some folks might see it as an inconvenience. Android users can do Bluetooth, but usually their phones are dead, when they're leaving the vehicle if they're not plugging it in. It's a good question. Nokia doesn't always have iPod-like features on their phone. So if it does have depending on what operating system it runs, there's like a little headphone jack at the top. All the vehicles, your Equinox has a headphone jack that you can actually in the console plug into. You just need it looks like headphones on both sides. They call it an auxiliary cable. You buy one of those for 15 or so bucks from Radio Shack. Plug it in here, plug it in your phone, and then you have to start it from the phone. That's the only tricky part. With MyLink, you're able to control your iPod from the radio. With Pandora, you're able to control the music you're listening to from the actual touchscreen. So with your Nokia, you might not be able to do that just because Nokia didn't design it that way. So great question. Now, raise your hand if you have your phone paired to your vehicle already right now. Back row, pretty much. Not up here yet. Okay. You think so?
What do you mean? Like they put my contacts in it.
That's an interesting question. So when I say Bluetooth paired, it means if someone, let's say you're driving down the road and someone calls you, does it ring through your car or does it ring through your phone?
The car.
Rings through the car, then you're Bluetooth paired. Yes, absolutely. So that you actually got to my next question. So if you're Bluetooth paired, what are some of the benefits? One, we know you can answer the phone in the car while keeping your hands on the wheel, right? We want you to stay safe. So that's great. And then you mentioned another part of it. Where did the contacts come from?
Oh, the salesman did it.
Yeah, so you're not quite sure where they came from, are you? You said you had an iPhone, right?
Yeah.
Now the iPhone has a magical little ability that when you connect it to the car, now it's different than it was, if you remember 5-6 years ago when you the Bluetooth pair, it was kind of like those TV antennas you used to have to hold the right way to get it to, get the bunny ears to get the right signal. You'd have to enter like 20 digits in the right order in like 30 seconds, otherwise you wouldn't connect, right? You guys ever had that problem with Bluetooth? It was a pain in the butt when it first came out. A lot of people just stayed away from it. But Bluetooth is really easy to pair now. One of the benefits of pairing your phone with your car, even if it's not an iPhone, is some phones were designed to share the contact information with your car. Okay? Now that seems like to some people that seems like a really simple trick. That's kind of neat though, because what you may not know is some of the more recent cars, if you press that button to speak to your car to tell it to do something, it would say the name of the voice tag. Anybody have that voice tag? I saw some eyes rolling in the back. I hated that thing. You could only set up 20 and it had to record you saying it, then you had to say the phone number and it got a digit wrong, so then you had to say it again. And what this does with MyLink, pairing your phone, he didn't actually do anything too fancy. All he did was turn Bluetooth on your phone, turn it on the car, say, yes, I want to pair it on both devices, and the contacts downloaded into the MyLink system. So now what that means is, immediately, you can press the button on your steering wheel. We call it the bad breath button, push to talk. It looks like a guy from the side with like onion breath coming out of his mouth. You press the bad breath button, and then you can say things like, call, my mom is saved in my phone, it's mom. So I can press the button and say, call mom. And it will literally call my mom.
Does like with Siri, she and I don't get along, and they say that the more you use it, the more it gets used to your voice. Is the car that way too? Because it never dials the way I want it to dial.
Yeah, yes and no. Now the Siri, it's interesting. When I worked for Apple, I'd always email the engineers because I hear things like that, and I think I don't know where that came from because I don't see it in the marketing. Some of it's true, some of it's not true, because they're collecting data to find out how you speak your phones, and then they make it more general. But the technology that's in Siri is actually the same technology that powers all of our vehicles. So it's made by a company called Nuance, and they've been doing voice recognition in computers for years, and they're pretty good at what they do. But yeah, it's not perfect every single time. There's a number of factors that I've found. I have one of those voices where it's hard for me to experience all of the trouble that people have because they almost design the system off of a voice like mine. So usually the systems work well for me. But what I would say is essentially it's not getting any smarter with you, but you might actually have to bend more than it will bend with you, if that answers your question clearly. What's changing though is we're working with new software companies to actually, like for example, with some model year 14s going forward, we're going to see a little bit more natural voice recognition. Now, it's not Siri yet though. And Siri, our expectation for what this radio can do is almost 100% of the time going to be based on what my smartphone can do, right? The smartphone is going to get even better. Now, I don't want to go too far ahead of myself here, but raise your hand if you've heard of Siri.
Okay, thanks.
A lot of folks. So Siri is a personal assistant that Apple built into their phone. So I can be driving, or I can just be walking down the street. I can press and hold the button on my iPhone and say, remind me tomorrow to call my boss at 9 o'clock in the morning, and it will make an appointment for me. I can have it put things in my calendars. I can ask it what the weather's like tomorrow. I can ask it how the Blackhawks did. I can really engage with it with a various number of questions. Because Siri is connected to the phone and the phone is connected to the internet, a lot of times it can find that answer for me right away. Now the next question that a lot of people ask is, now I have Siri on my phone and then you have this other voice recognition thing built into the car. Can I use Siri in my car? And with some of our small cars, we've done that. Now what you'll find is it's a trick. Okay, you won't find it in our marketing, but I want you to try this if you haven't already. For those of you that have iPhones that have Siri on them, when you get in your car next, after your phone's been connected, I want you to press and hold the button, the home button on your iPhone to engage Siri and see if it comes through your speakers. Make sure the car's on. And even though we don't want you doing that while you're driving, if you're at a stoplight, you can press and hold the button and Siri will actually engage the speakers and the microphone that's built into your car. So it's pretty neat. So some of the features that you might be missing, for example, I at one point had my mom saved in my contacts as Mother Szczepański, and my dad saved as Father Szczepański. Oh my gosh, the thing couldn't tell the difference between mother and father. It was killing me. So I could call my mom on that way, but if I wanted to call my dad, I had to use Siri to do it. And so once I pressed that button, I could let go of it, get my hands on the wheel and drive if I needed to. So yeah, there's actually some ways that we'll see. Now, one part that I maybe missed and that I would have rather stayed even out there to all the rest of the guys. So the thing that's most exciting about this radio, and maybe scary for some folks, but exciting to me, is that the radio is software. Now, do you expect your computer to get an update from time to time? Sometimes it pops up something that says, hey, there's an update. What about your phone? Does your phone ever get updated? From time to time it gets updated. What happens when it gets updated? Does anything change? Does it get better? Worse?
Usually it's better.
Usually it's better, it depends. Some of us that have iPhones, they changed the map on there, which drove some of us crazy. It still is driving me crazy. Actually, newly driving me crazy. But it gets better over time. Case in point, the iPhone, when it came out, it didn't have apps on it. Pandora didn't exist. And now that we've had the phone for a few years, the next year created apps. And now there's almost 1 million apps out there for people to download and use on their phone. Imagine the same thing is going to be happening with your radios. So, for those of you who bought your vehicle, your radio is not going to be as old as it was the day you got it. As you come back here for service, when they pop in your VIN number to look up your vehicle, it'll let them know if there's any new features added. Now, you don't have to. If you like it the way it is, that's okay. You can keep it the way it is. You can tell them not to do that service action if they don't want to, but if you don't want them to. But I highly recommend that you would engage that service. Usually it's a warranty claim. It's nothing that costs anything to you unless somebody changes their mind at some point. But I don't know what those new features are going to be entirely yet, but GM's announced that we are moving in that direction. So this radio being software, it's going to get better and better and better. Meaning things that are frustrating and don't work very well will get better. But more than that, you're going to have more apps in your car, more ways to connect, even more radio stations. Some of you may have heard of Spotify. This is like Netflix for music, if you guys have ever heard of Netflix. So on demand, if a band came out with an album yesterday and I want to listen to it, if I have a Spotify account, I can listen to it right away. Who knows? That might be coming to the vehicle. I don't know if Spotify is working on that or not, but that is one of the benefits of having a MyLink radio. It gets better and better and better. Phillips has actually gone out and made some for you, and I'm going to tell you what these can be used for in your MyLink systems. All right, this is the point where we really want the computer to work here.
Like a little key.
So,
Oh God, get me.
it's got a little green checkbox on it, and that means it's on here. Now, instead of waiting for all this to download before we do anything, I'm going to show you how this works. Now, with your flash drive, you're going to be able to, yours are cool because they're shaped like keys. Mine is uncool. But somewhere on your computer, there's a little thing that's shaped like this. I love these because if you put it in the wrong way, and they just stop. All you have to do is flip it over and try putting it in and see if it goes. You got to give it a little bit of a push. Once it's in there, it's in there. Now you see my PC is going ahead and scanning it, make sure, and it says right down here, hey, guess what? Your device is ready to use. Now, where do I find this? Anybody know how I find that now that I've plugged it in? Somewhere under my computer.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm going to click this little button in the corner. It looks like a folder. And then on the sides here, I have a whole bunch of different options. Now, if you're using a PC like I am, this will be under, just like she said, under computer. There it is again, that pesky little acronym, USB disk. Not quite a disk, but it's a USB something. Now, when I click on that, it says, hey, this folder is empty. So the question becomes, how do I get the music from that iTunes into this folder? What do we think? Drag it? Oh, let's try that out. Now, one of my favorite features of Windows, which I'll demonstrate here, is if I drag this to the side. Have you guys ever seen this? Kind of snaps into the grid. So now I can see both things at once. All right, so wow, look at that. It's streaming now. Now it's going 17 times the speed of the CD. So what I can do is I can do this one at a time. Drag the honky tonk stomp. Does that work?
And then I'll be right up here.
All right.
Interesting. Why don't you think it's working?
Oh,
That's a good point.
Okay.
It's still downloading. Maybe that's it. Now, what I am not seeing here that's kind of hard to see is that what I have selected, and this is probably the only hump you're going to have. See how it's highlighted right here? What's that picture look like if you can make it out? Looks like a CD, doesn't it? So I want to move it over from this place called the library. So music, this is actually, when I click up here, this is actually the music that lives in my jukebox now. So I have to drag it from, let's try it from dragging from my jukebox and see if it works any better. See how we're just doing a little trial and error here? We run into a roadblock, but that's okay, we'll find out if this works better. Hey, that's encouraging, it's got a little plus button there. And there we go. Now, for those of you who've done this before, you know how you can select all of them?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Control shift.
Control, Shift. I wonder if there's even a different way we can do that. But yeah, what I'm used to is I'll click the first one I want, hold down the Shift key on the keyboard, and then I click the last one that I'm interested in. And see when I am dragging it over, it says 10 there in the little red badge. When I let go,
You go up, catch up to you. Okay, I'm probably over there, Bruce, so. Okay.
now, in an ideal world, if I had a really big, giant GM car that I could cram us all in, what we'd do is unplug this and go plug it into the car and see how it works. But what you're going to find is that once we're done transferring all this on here, when we'll download that, if you give me your, we'll see if we can get the second CD on there, you give me your drive, we'll try it. We'll put it on yours for you, since you brought the CD. But what you'll find is that when you're done, you can just eject this little guy, carry him over to your car, put him in the center area. You don't have to spend $200 on an iPod. You just got one for free from Phillips. So now you can listen to music in your car digitally. And the best part about it is you can do it without having to touch a radio. So you can press the button and say play. What does it say here? Play Brooks and Dunn. And it'll start playing for you. Now, one little crazy thing, and you don't really need to know about this, but I'll tell you anyways because I think it's amazing. What is this? Anybody know what this symbol's called in between Brooks? It's done. It's an ampersand. How do you think a computer understands an ampersand? I think it would understand an ampersand. Yeah, or AC/DC. You guys ever seen the artist Kesha? There's a dollar sign in her name. Okay. How does a computer understand Kesha as a dollar sign? Well, there's technology built into your car called Gracenote. Gracenote is a company that's a wholly owned subsidy of Sony. They own, and that's the sound to tell you it's done for them. They own essentially the rights to know how to say what artist. So you can speak whatever it would be, and instead of J-Z, you just say Jay-Z, play Jay-Z, it'll play Jay-Z for you. Nice and easy. Play Kesha, and it'll play Kesha for you. Nice and easy. All right. Now, another question, just to kind of show you the complete tour here. How do we get the CD out once it's done? There may be a few answers to this. But anybody see anything on the screen? There's a little eject icon. It looks like a squished house in a circle. Right there. Or you can press on your CD drive. There sometimes is a button. I'm going to press that. It shoots it out. And then rinse and repeat for the next CD. This is actually a 2-disc set, so you guys know how to use these things. Now, speaking of voice recognition with music, that brings me to an interesting little point. Is that sun getting in your eyes? Stand right here. So the voice recognition is not limited to a handful of features like calling, like it used to be. It's actually spread out a little bit. So you can press the button and say play artist, and then you gotta say artist.
So what button are you pressing?
The honey breath guy.
Oh.
Same guy you used to trigger it. So you press that button, you say tune artist, so that way it knows you want to play, and then an artist, or tune song, but tune artist Brooks and Dunn. It actually is, because you're using two different words, call is a very different word than tune. I think that's why they say tune instead of play. I don't know exactly why they chose tune, but tune is the key word for that. So that's how it knows that it wants to look to the iPod. But it'll do that if you have an iPod plugged in. It'll do that if you have a USB like we just saw plugged in. It'll do that. It'll do that mainly for those things. iPhone, kind of same way, treated like an iPod. Yeah.
So you transferred it from the iTunes, the iTunes jukebox rather than the library?
Yeah, basically what I did was
From the,
You can also
Yeah.
edit, if you have Microsoft Media, you can do the same thing off of Microsoft Media. If you already have it saved on your computer, you can just put your disk in and pull it off of Microsoft Media. Or
Yeah,
Microsoft.
it depends what digital jukebox you use, but the one that's more popular is iTunes.
so in other words, the first time it didn't work was because you were trying to pull it
From the CD directly, not for, yeah, you have to choose music in the library. Yeah, good question. I think the CD exploded.
you know that USB port, when you plug in your iPhone, is it charging it then?
That's a great question. Did you guys hear that? So his question was, if you're plugging in your iPod or your iPhone, is it charging it? What do you guys think? We think no. We got some yeses. All right. What's interesting is that a USB plug is always putting out standard 5 volts. 5 volts will charge a camera. 5 volts will charge an iPod. 5 volts will charge a phone. So yeah, almost any USB plug that you see will charge your
I'm
phone.
talking in the bolt, you know, in the bolt
Yeah.
in there?
It
I
will.
had it in, it wasn't charging. It doesn't charge, right?
It should. It should. Yes.
In other words, when you put it in, then if I just put it in, I could use that to charge it. I wonder why that.
Yeah, it's a good question. It might not be been plugged in all the way, but try wiggling the cables on both ends to make sure it's connected. That's often the case with the 30-pin connector on the older iPhones. The newer iPhone has a different
Because the format on there is different. Ours is a 10.
radio, which is really neat. So instead of you pushing through the button looking for your favorite 92.7 or whatever it is, you can press the button and again say tune FM or 92.7 FM, FM 92.7. It doesn't matter what the order is. I said that it was there's a part of it that's for free. This one is still available if you're in your trial. You can definitely get access to it. So the trick is, if I can get it to load inside.
I know, see, the next time they come in here, I'm gonna give them a 2014.
I can probably dig up a slide or two.
That's a beautiful car. That is a beautiful car.
About it too.
Sharp. I like that. Even that Malibu is very nice. That's a nice car.
Yeah, we have that one there. I wonder if they're changing the bag style on the
Changes, nothing.
Nothing like the Impala.
It's a nice car.
Actually, they're making front end.
Do you normally have the volume up?
More like the Impala.
Oh, really?
A lot of times what's happening is the sound, what's happening is the speakers in your car
That Impala is really
the
sharp.
receiver will, the microphone will pick it up and then feed it back into the system. So try turning down the volume a little bit and seeing if that helps the next time you're on the phone. I know sometimes when you're
Oh,
driving
you're
fast
not.
on the highway, it doesn't always work quite
Yeah, but
well.
you love your
I do.
Camaro. You're not trading that in.
No.
That's nice thing, Camaro.
Richard, she's got it now.
That's a sharp. That's a nice car.
I love how when Ryan's at work, TV doesn't work, CD's not done.
Oh, no, it's not.
So that'll be your assignment. I got the first one done for you.
Okay.
You gotta get the second one on there. Pull up the deck.
They were next to me and they were going down. What are you doing to me? You're the one that's fine. It's like, don't look at it.
Oh, that's so flattering. When they look at your car, that means they
I'll
want
give you this back
Yeah,
before I
that's
forget. I'll steal
fine.
that from you.
One day, I was sitting on a living wall and he was talking to Corey and I looked at my wrist. Hey, nice car. But you had to get
What the OnStar Remote Link app does, it's you have to be a subscriber in order to use this. So if you're in your trial period still, you have access to it. You can download it onto your smartphone again, iPhones, and most Android phones. And what you can do is a few different things. You can pull up, see how much, what your oil life is, what your tank, how full it is. This is great if you have multiple vehicles in the family and kids. Oil, great for that. I'm not sure if I've got screenshots for it all, but remote is the key fob that I was talking about. So you can turn in lights, you can do unlock, lock, and remote start from there if you have remote start equipped on your vehicle. There's the icon. It's just an app that lives on your phone. It takes usually a minute or two to communicate with the car. One of my favorite features of this that you should definitely use is the app is for free on the App Store or Google Play. This nav icon, love this thing. So I can go in there and I can type in Starbucks or whatever it is that I'm doing. And then it pops up a little arrow, I tap it and I can send directions. If I have a nav in my vehicle, I can send directions to it, either turn by turn with OnStar, it just sends it regardless of whether I have nav. Or if I have nav built in, it'll say send to dash nav. And I can have it appear on my navigation next time I get in the car and turn it up. So those are features of your app. So download that, it'll ask you for your OnStar information. Usually it's going to ask for an account number and your zip code. The account number you can get by pressing your blue button and asking for what's your The account number is usually not important, it's unique to OnStar. But pressing the blue button and asking what will help, they'll get you every single time.
Well, I was busy yesterday, so I'll
Here's Pandora. We have some apps that are available on other. Stitcher. Anybody seen this? This is probably not the most popular app in the world, but what it does, you guys ever heard of podcasts? Podcasts are something that you'd always have to plan out to go download from the store, get it on your iPod or your phone, then listen to it or download it. A lot of churches use podcasts, so like sermons, there's a cool iTunes you can get stuff from iTunes. It's like professors and teaching college classes. It's great. Very interesting stuff. What Stitcher allows you to do is get news and a lot of those podcasts, like popular ones like NPR's podcast, without having to do anything other than find it on the app and favorite it. And it's customized radio for you. So then you say, I want to listen to NPR Car Talk, I want to listen to NPR, whatever some of their other programs are. The app is something that is built into your car. So the icon looks similar to this, but you have to power it by a smartphone to get the app from the iTunes App Store, from the Google Play Store if you have an Android phone. I think, do you have a smartphone that would connect with it? There you go. So it'd be in Google Play, most likely. And then once you have that, you can connect it just by pairing your phone with your car by virtue of it being paired. Well, we gotta remedy that. Yeah, that's almost right. That's what you gotta do. Most people, everybody learns a little different. I learn by doing. So it's helpful for me to really engage with it.
Sorry, I'm standing up goodies before you run out. 41 piece toolkit. A toolkit. So now you got a restaurant. You know what? I do it all. You should get a raise. Oh, you tell Dan that.
He was on my son's baseball team.
The computer is like slowing down. The Dragon Ball will eventually explode.
Well, we're going to be starting the wrap up.
Cool.
So whenever you guys are ready.
We're pretty much wrapped up. I'd say these guys look tired.